here's Brody Brazil.
If you're watching this as it's just come out, you obviously know it's the holiday season of 2022. But the theme of this video is 6 essentials for live streamers. Yeah, maybe it's a gift idea list, but it's also a gear idea list. Even if you're months or years down the road and you're finally seeing this, I want to share with you 6 things I use all the time for live streaming. I highly recommend them. Maybe by the time you're watching, there have been some product model updates, new features, new things, but these are basic pieces of kit that are for any live streamer to up the value of things that they create and things that they produce. So let's begin with the item that is the heart of my operation right now. That is the Atem Mini Pro video switcher from Blackmagic Design. Actually, there's several different variants. I'm using the Pro ISO here, but they also make a regular Pro model. I use that for my remote streaming setup. There's also just an Atem Mini model, which I think goes for about $300. It's an absolute steal right now. There's also the Atem Mini Extreme line, which have 8 inputs, I believe, and offer just a couple more super source type features, so you can dive into all that. But just know that the Atem Mini Pro, no matter what variant you choose, is an outstanding device, and especially for live streaming. It's all hardware-based, Ethernet jack right out the back of this thing. I can also plug like my hard drive that's recording this video into the back of this thing. It takes care of everything. So from live streaming to cutting down your editing time. What do I mean by that? Well, instead of having to go back and edit this video and take all the clips, if I want to use that camera, or that camera, or that camera with these graphics, I'm doing this all with the touch of a couple pre-programmed buttons here. So the Atem Mini, as you can see here, I don't need to make all these edits. I just push buttons as I go, and it dramatically cuts down the time of making a video. And the last thing I'll say about this, and again, this is not to get too in detail on just one thing here because these are 6 essentials, but it's an all HDMI workflow. So HDMI inputs and outputs in the back. It works with so many consumer and professional devices. They also make an SDI version too, which is something I won't get into here, but the HDMI version like I'm using right here makes it very compatible with other things I'm going to plug in. Monitors, cameras, you name it, computers. It all works together quite seamlessly. So the Atem Mini Pro, it is the backbone of pretty much everything I do, whether I'm making videos or I'm live streaming. I can't recommend that product enough. Okay, audio-wise here, the Presonus Revelator IO24 is a device I've had now for about a year. And full disclosure, what I'm using here in the home studio is actually the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X. Now, this is kind of the maybe gold standard for signal processing, real-time effects. It's used more in the music industry to create and shape tones and compression and EQ and all that stuff. But I got to tell you, and that device, the Apollo X, passed $1,000. This Revelator IO24 does about 80 to 85% of what the Apollo does for only a couple $100. This is part of my remote streaming kit. It includes real-time DSP. What does that mean? So I can basically put EQ, compression, low and high cut filtering, gating, expansion. I can do all of that in real time with this audio interface. And that way, when I'm doing live streaming, I'm hearing it exactly as it sounds, exactly as I want it. Almost like I could post-produce it as I was doing it in real time, if that makes sense. The real-time DSP with 0 latency, this is every live streamer's dream setup, and some live streamers just don't even know about something like this yet. So a little more investigation if you want on it. Do some for the Revelator IO24. Good routing controls. I can obviously play back sound effects and music and other sources from my laptop into this device. Also get this on the live stream. So the routing from different devices is great. It's very simple to understand. And it's a quality build. There is some plastic as part of this. It's not entirely metal. But again, for the price and the value of what you're getting here, the Revelator IO24 as an interface, I mean, you could just use it quite simply as a good old interface, and it's got a high value. But the fact that it's got all these features for not much more, I think it's a great buy. It's a great addition. Okay, the Sony ZV-1 camera. Now, this is a couple years old. I believe they've already come out with a successor to this. They still sell this. There's also, I think, a ZV-E10 and a ZV-1F. So do a little research on what suits you best, but tried and tested is this ZV-1 for me. I bought one probably early 2021, and then I bought one late 2021. So I have two of these. They both live in my Pelican case. And I think what you're understanding here is, no, it's not like the Canon 6D camera I'm using here in the studio. It's not like a full DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera. It's a point-and-shoot camera. That's what it was designed to be, but it's especially tailored for video purposes and YouTube purposes. And I think what you're realizing here is the value and quality you get out of it. High quality, high value for a relatively low cost. What it produces versus what it costs is there's a tremendous great contrast for you as part of this camera. It's manual friendly. What do I mean by that? Not like you read the manual to it. I mean manual settings. I'm somebody where I typically want total control over the settings, the shutter settings, the ISO settings, the aperture, white balance. I want all the color shading and coloring the camera. I want complete control over all that. A lot of these point-and-shoot cameras, well, it's the automatic mode and that's all you get. And this camera does do that, but it also gives you the option of going full manual, of saving different settings. So it's got pretty advanced Sony features for what is a relatively inexpensive and smaller size camera. And that's my last point to make here. This is as big as your typical point-and-shoot camera, and the quality of image it makes, to me, and video image specifically, is tremendous. I've never really used it to take a picture. I've only used it for video. It doesn't have the widest lens. It doesn't have the longest zoom either, but all that mid-range stuff, if you're just doing a talking head, like most live streamers are doing, this is a perfect fit for you. It's got a micro HDMI out of the side. It can be powered through a USB micro cable. No, micro, yeah, not mini. That's right. So I got to get all my plug sizes here. HDMI micro, USB micro, not mini. There we go. You plug those both in the side, you have power for it, and you can get your clean HDMI signal out of this. So highly recommend the Sony ZV-1 camera for live streamers. You can also use it in a USB setting, plug it straight into your camera, your computer, excuse me. You don't have to use the HDMI out. Okay, headphones. The DT770 Pros, I talk a lot about those here on the channel. In fact, I'm using a different version of those. These are the 250 ohms, and the reason I'm using that here now is because I'm plugged into a headphone amp. To power a 250 ohm pair of headphones, you definitely need an amp. But I'm recommending here the 32 ohm version, which are a little bit different. Now, they don't come with the velour ear pads. They come with more of a pleather variety. That's still fine. I like these a lot. I have these. I use these on my remote streaming setup. But the great part about 32 ohms, you can power them with pretty much anything. A phone, a laptop, every audio interface. This is complete compatibility. And honestly, there is some misconception that, 32 ohms, it's not as good as 80 or the 250 ohm versions that they make. That's not true. I really like the way these sound. They have that nice flat sound still, low end and the highs enough to let you know exactly what you're hearing and a good accuracy to it. It's got the closed back too, by the way, which doesn't let any sound leak out as you record something. You're not going to have kind of the open back problem where your headphone sound leaks back into your microphone. But it's got a good flat frequency response. These are built exactly like all of the other 770s and 990s, all replaceable parts. So if you break something, you can easily repair it or fix it or just replace it over time if it gets worn out. I love the way these sound. They're not fatiguing on the ear, very comfortable. They fit around your entire ear. You can wear these headphones for a very long time. I highly recommend the DT770 Pro by Beyerdynamic. I don't even think I said the brand name yet. 32 ohm version especially, because it suits everybody. Okay, I think this is number 5 of the 6 essentials, the Stream Deck from Elgato. And I have to tell you here, I've got all 3, well, They make a new version with dials, but I have all 3 prior versions. This is the XL over here. This is the Mini right here, 6 buttons here on the Mini. I also have the standard model, which I believe is 15 buttons. What's the big one here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 4, 32. I never even knew how many buttons were on the XL. Oh, there it is on the screen right there. But the Stream Deck, I feel like a lot of people are already on to this. If you're not, like, this is something you need to be up to speed with. Or if you're buying for somebody else, this is something they're going to want. Trust me, if they don't even have it or don't even know about it yet, they will, a live streamer will want this, because the Stream Deck, whether you're using an Atem like me or OBS, this is a solo necessity. I can do so many things here from the Stream Deck. Obviously, you've seen me change cameras here. You've seen me change scenes. I'm actually controlling my presentation here with all the graphics also through this very Stream Deck here. So it's very customizable. You see that on the screen. But again, it allows one person to do so many things. It allows one person to do basically what 3 or 4 people do at a television studio. So it's very versatile, very customizable. And I think another part of the Stream Deck is that it's ever evolving. They're always adding new features and new abilities to it, because the hardware doesn't really change. It's buttons on a USB. You plug it into your computer. There's some software there, but considering that they can change all the software, the buttons can always do something brand new. So these keep up with the times. They don't go out of style. They don't go out of date. 3 different models. You're going to have to figure out, what's for you. I think the XL, if I only had one and I had room for it, I would splurge and get the XL. I use the XL here at the home studio. I also use the Mini here just because it's closer, and that way it gives me more options, 2 different sets of buttons here. Everything I need's over here. All the essentials are right here. But then I also, as I said, use the regular model, the 15-button model. I use that in the live streaming kit because it detaches. I can put it right in my Pelican case. It is an absolute beauty to have. Okay, I just hit the Stream Deck button. Look what it did. It brought me to the last thing here of the 6 essentials. This is kind of a splurge item. I'm not going to lie. Of everything I've shown you so far, this is the most expensive by a little bit. It's the Sennheiser MKH 416 microphone. This is a microphone that gives you condenser sound. It gives you great rejection. It's durable and it's portable. Now, this is a shotgun microphone. It's meant to be used in field situations. But the great thing about this, it gives you that condenser sound, kind of like a Neumann U87 AI. And you can actually, I can't take this places with me. I don't want to. It's fragile. It could break. This will not break. This is meant for the road. This is meant to be put in a case. It's got a great sound to it. It sounds not exactly like this, don't get me wrong, but it sounds quite similar enough that it's a great substitute. And because I said it has great rejection, I right now I'm in this acoustically treated space. I yell and there's not a lot of echo. I snap and it doesn't make echo because the room is treated. The walls are treated. It's not soundproofed, but it's sound from the outside, but it's sound treated here on the inside. So a microphone like this is going to reject a lot, not everything. It's not going to make your room sound perfect, but a lot of times I use this microphone in a terrible acoustical situation of a conference room. At work, I do a lot of my live remote streaming from there. You've seen it here on the channel. And it does a really good job, almost like what a dynamic mic would do in canceling out all of that echo and all that reverberation you hear in the background. And durable and portable, like I said. I would love to take the U87 everywhere I go. But it doesn't make sense because this microphone picks up too much and it's not durable enough for the road. So MKH 416, about $1,000. If you watch, you can get it on sale sometimes in the $700 range. So keep an eye out for the MKH 416. But again, this is one of those buy it for life type purchases. You buy this once, you could use this microphone for 20 plus years. No problem. So just circling back, those are my 6 essentials for live streamers. If you're gift giving right now, those are some ideas for you. If you're gear acquiring right now, those are some ideas for you. And like I said before, it's late 2022. It's the holiday season. So yeah, of course, people are interested right now. But these things and what they do, they will stand the test of time. So whether there's new models or not, I'm confident in these devices that for years to come, things like them will always help you out.